Yeah, my question was, I love my father, but when I was young, I mean like a child, there were few behaviors of his which I always thought that I would never do that when I grow up. Okay,
Surprise.
but I find myself doing the same things. So is it mirroring or is it something else?
I'll tell you what happens. When you tell that you don't want to do those things, do you do it, do you tell that to yourself only when he's around or also when he's not around?
No, not now. When I was a
When
child.
you were a child, what
Yeah.
happens?
I guess when he was doing it, when he was around.
And did you have a memory of the things that he did that you didn't want to
Yes.
do? And
Like for example, he
hold
is
on, I
very,
don't need to know the details.
okay.
But you have a memory of the things he did.
Yes.
And sometimes that memory would play as well.
Right.
So now let's say your unconscious wants to model or mirror behaviors. When you have the memory of the things you didn't want him to do, and it plays in your mind, do you think it could become an input to your unconscious?
Yes. It could.
That is absolutely an example of mirroring.
Okay.
Okay? See, when you put your attention on any behavior, whether you like it or not, and you create that visual reference, your neurology learns to mirror that behavior. A lot of us do this, by the way, not only with parents. How many of you sometimes did something terrible? You did, like in the meeting, you said something you shouldn't have done, or you did something you shouldn't have done, and you keep playing that memory again and again and again and again and again in your mind. You do that? Each time you play that memory, your neurology is mirroring it. It's not just in the head. It's as much as it is in the head, as much in the body.
Okay. So if that's...
Yeah, hold on. So you understand what I'm saying so far? So if you did something you didn't like, when you play it in your head, your neurology is going to mirror that in the... where? In the body, in the muscles.
So can it be undone as well?
Absolutely. I remember working with a 3-year-old daughter. So there's a parent, mother and father, who brought a 3-year-old child, saying that the girl is banging her head on the wall. I looked at the parents and said, where did she learn to do that from? And the father looked at me and looked at the wife and said, but she doesn't do it in front of the child. So the mother thought that if she closes the door and bangs her head, the child won't pick up that behavior. But you know, unconscious, our sensory acuity is way more developed than we think it is. By the way, how many of you have heard of stories where a blind person can come inside a room, clap the hand and tell you the dimension of the hall and so on? You heard of that? I mean, our ears are so well refined. The ability, the capability of a neurology is so high that somebody who has to depend on their hearing only can actually develop their acuity to a level that they can say the dimensions of this room by just clapping the hands. And do we have access to the same ears? We do, right? Are we conscious of that information? No. But is that information going in anyways? Yes. That's what I call as unconscious. So children, they are using the sensory acuity to their advantage to know and learn from the behaviors of the parents. So how do you think I help this child stop banging her head? Telling her mother no. Remember, if her mother could have stopped banging the head, she would have. I could have just used the collapse anchor or any other patterns available, right? So what I did is I got the mother to stop feeling that pain. I worked with the father to stop driving her that crazy. And within 6 months, the child stopped banging her head. Obviously, it may not all the time work, but most times children will also learn the new behaviors as much as they learn the old behaviors. So try it out. Get the father to develop some new behaviors and see what effect it has on the daughter.